So we're doing these interviews to do like profiles of different speakers, Combat Conditioning Conference 2018. And I thought that I'd lead the way in doing the interview. We've got different questions about different things in career, a little bit away from like their specific areas and different knowledge bombs. It's more about their experience and their coaching philosophies or just working philosophies as well. So it's good. We've got around about 20 minutes to get through this. Got you into a remote location in the university.
And we've got the Jeremy Paxman of Boxing Science.
Yeah.
The gorilla himself.
We've had to take you into a secret room so nobody can hunt you down. So,
I'm ready. I'm ready for it to answer these questions, but hopefully it should give people a bit more of a not an overview, but more of a general rounded approach, or a general rounded better understanding of the way that we work, rather than just seeing specific avenues and just like kind of being very almost single focused in each presentation and giving just a topic. They should give a nice little 360 degree little review about how that information's come about, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And people watching this obviously have seen Boxing Science before. They'll know a lot about myself already, but giving a little bit more of an insight to how I got to this position now. And something that they don't know is that I set off at 5:45 in the morning and I get home at 9 o'clock at night. So I've got my
glitz and glamour.
Yeah, I've got my rocket fuel ready.
And that's just
this in product placement, by the way.
But Starbucks, if you're listening.
Yeah. But yeah, look forward to answering some questions.
All right, so an obvious one to start with. Can you give us an introduction to who you are and how you first started off in sport? Maybe give us an example of some of the kind of sports you played as a kid, and how that inspired your professional career.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning with this one. As a kid, I was just absolutely obsessed with football. Thought I was going to make it until about 14. I'm one of them typical kids that went to the academy, had a trial, didn't make it, then ended up being a little bit sidetracked away from the sport. On that sidetrack, I found the gym. From about 12, 13 years old, I watched the Rocky movies and I wanted a six-pack ever since then, so I was doing 300 sit-ups a day, which explains a lot of my mobility issues later on in life. But I was like obsessed with fitness, decent enough runner, competed for the school cross-country running, but obsessed with fitness, and then got to around about 14, 15 years old, in a typical testosterone building, wanted to get massive muscles, so I was training in the gym, fitness first, and just basically doing bodybuilding, and that just kind of like took over. That was a main passion of mine, main hobby, and I was like, even like picking my GCSEs, my mum were like saying, you're not going to make much as a sports coach, PE teacher or whatever, leave your options open. So she wanted me to pick IT, business. Same in A-levels, I picked business and media with that as well, which has played quite well for me with Boxing Science, obviously doing the business and the media side as well. But always like kind of keeping my options open. But once it got to university, I was like, right, I want to do sport and exercise science. Still didn't know what I wanted to do with that. So for the first 2 years, I was not really focused. I weren't doing great. I probably coming out of the degree and my master's degree, I probably was the most improved student, because I was starting with pretty poor grades, and then after the second year doing this work placement, I decided I want to do strength and conditioning. I want to do a job that I enjoy, I love, I've got a passion for. I didn't want to go through like the everyday grind, and thought that if I don't work hard now, that's what I'm going to subject myself to. So kind of dug in from that placement. I got in touch with Lee McMahon at Sheffield United Football Club, went and did work placement there, which lasted 3 years. I did 2 years with the academy, then a brief stint with the first team as well. During that, under 18s at Chesterfield Football Club, where I was leading the academy, strength and conditioning, sports science, doing bits of work with Sheffield Eagles as well. But whilst this was happening, my passion and my main sport that I was focused on was boxing. Don't come from a boxing background. I've been to a few sessions and decided that I don't really want to get punched in the face. But as a fan, I really enjoyed it. And training a boxer, how good does that look on videos? Like I said, the main reason why I started getting into training was like watching Rocky films. So I was like, right, I want to do strength and conditioning in boxing. Not only that, I see a massive opportunity because boxing, when we started, was quite far behind the other sports, and it still is now. And then, seeing these like kind of programs in football, in rugby, and different sports, I wanted like to set a future for boxers. So there's thousands of boxers like training per week, and there isn't the strength and conditioning, there isn't academies in place for them to get the most out of them physically. So in 2013, I started like working with a few boxers voluntary. One of them being Callum Bearder, who I'm working with now, and with Callum got in touch with Brendan Warburton at Sheffield City Boxing Club. Still got an amazing relationship with them now, but a lot of their amateurs started coming to Saturday morning session, combat conditioning, and then a few other gyms started getting involved, Ingle Gym, Sheffield Lane Top. We started getting a bit of reputation doing like Saturday morning sessions, and then it's kind of built up from there, doing masters research and doing fitness testing for boxing, and that kind of was like the cornerstone for boxing to push for boxing science to push forward to start training people, start publishing results online on his blog, and it's just got bigger and better from there. And obviously Boxing Science doing really well with online programs on his online projects, and working with some current and future champions as well. It's been a good journey, and excited for the future.
Absolutely, and you touched on loads of different components there of just the last few seconds there of Boxing Science and what we do and everything that we've got going on, from working with youth athletes to working with world champions and their training, strength work, mobility work, their fitness, some of the research that we've done, some of the research that's ongoing. What do you think is the most enjoyable part of your job, and what gives you the most motivation?
Obviously, like getting the results, putting like a set process in place and seeing the outcome of that. Working in football and rugby, it were good experiences of working with them high level athletes, but they were quite restricted, got a lot of limitations. Rugby players get sore as hell after competing, get halfway through the week able to train, and then they have to peak for the next week. As well with footballers, their fixture schedules are absolutely hectic. So, and that was a key thing for me to get into boxing, is to put set sports science things in place and seeing that actually work. So like a highlight for us is when we worked with Kel against Golovkin. We had set specific goals in place, and we had them end goals, and we were like, right, how do we get them end goals, and had a really controlled program. I think that's a key thing for me, but it's all about fight night as well, seeing them perform and get the results and see how much it means to them. It means a lot to me when they're getting the wins, but it's life changing stuff. One loss here and one loss there can alter the course of a career so much. So if you've had a small contribution to their success, and see how much it means for their life as well, because if they win, next payday is going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And obviously the legacy as well, they've only got a short time in the sport, so if you can help them maximise their opportunities to progress and succeed is very satisfying for us. And
obviously we do all the physical training for the boxers.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of, there's hardly any research, specific to boxing and the way to apply it apart from the work that we've done. And so a lot of our training methods have come from trial and error and us practicing on ourselves before we unleash them on our athletes. So what kind of training do you do yourself? Do you enjoy training and putting yourself through it? What's your favourite thing to do at the moment?
Yeah, it's floated from time to time. When I first got into strength and conditioning, I went to the UKSCA weightlifting course, and I got absolutely ridiculed in front of the group trying to do overhead squat. My shoulder mobility was awful, and the guy just got me in front. Gil Stevenson, if you're probably watching, got me in front. Big thanks to him for pointing it out, and that kind of motivated me. He basically got me doing overhead squat, absolutely terrible, and he called me Jim Gimp in front of everybody, and I was so embarrassed. But from then, I was just like obsessed with getting better and doing Olympic weightlifting. Like I said, it was like a flick of a switch in my third year. I just decided, right, I'm going to be the best student I can be, I'm going to be the best coach I can be. So gearing up to that UKSCA, I was just weightlifting all the time, Olympic lifting. That carried on to like some powerlifting where we're hitting some big numbers. Not hitting them numbers at the minute because I was working part-time student as well. You got more time to train. At the moment, I'm trying to fit in what I can. I've enjoyed doing, I've mainly trained like the boxers. I stick to my main list, my trap bar deadlifts, back squat, chest press, doing some pull variations, very simple stuff. And then with the runs, started doing the high intensity interval training, 4 minutes on, all the way up to 6 minutes on, 2 minutes off. Really enjoy that, even though it's painful, and halfway through it you're thinking, why the hell am I doing this? The sense of achievement after it, and as well, because I'm really busy all the time, even if I'm doing strength training, I'm thinking about work and thinking about what I can do for different programs and thinking about different projects I can do. When you're running, you just think of nothing else. And I enjoy doing a bit of boxing myself. I haven't managed to do it as much recently. I'm doing some sparring with Brendan, and I'm getting slightly better. At first I was just getting absolutely hammered and gassing out and everything like that, but we're getting better, and it's all about learning. I think it's improved me as a coach and in my understanding of the sport, even though I'm not, I help boxers out at the club, take newcomers, everything like that, but from a strength and conditioning side, I understand the movement of the sport, what can end up being tight and how each exercise translates to punching action. So, practicing it, even if it's on the bags, on the pads, whether it's sparring, it's helped me become better as a strength and conditioning coach. So at the minute, I enjoy doing a bit of just normal weightlifting, mostly heavy reps, low reps, heavy weight, doing some high intensity interval training and doing some boxing as well.
Well, I don't know anyone who doesn't enjoy high intensity interval training. Everyone loves it.
A lot of the boxers.
So we've got a lot of things that we do from our own training perspective and practically, and trying things out before we do it. But there's not so much on the research side. So sometimes we have to look for different sources of information and things that aren't not necessarily what you might consider to be evidence-based practice, particularly in boxing. So what are some of the books that have influenced you in your career? And they don't necessarily have to be science-based or anything like that, but just give us an idea of some of maybe 3 books that have influenced you, maybe at the start of your career, one that you keep going back to, or one that you've read recently.
Yeah, so probably the first standout textbook that I got was Principles of Resistance Training. I think it's Stone and Sands, and like I said, through the third year, I've just worked like an absolute beast, whether it was like on an assignment or doing programs and working towards my UKSCA. So that's got everything in terms of like periodization, different strength training training methods and everything like that. So that was like the standout book for when I started doing strength conditioning. Not necessarily specific to the job, but 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. Just learning how to optimise your time. You know, we've got loads going off at Boxing Science. Also got a role with England Golf as well. Just about optimising your time, not being sunk in by your emails, trying to answer everyone. Set specific times in the week to email back. You know, people don't. You feel like you need to email people back straight away, but if you don't hear a response from an email within 2 or 3 days, and then you hear it, then that's more or less all right. So that's probably not the best example. Sorry, Tim, if you Tim Ferriss, I haven't given you a sterling review of the book, but it's just about like kind of optimising time and thinking about how you live in your life, and you know, it's changed my perspective of my goals in my career. They're now more influenced towards my personal life. You know, how's my career going to look in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time, and how does that suit my personal life as well? So I've got a personal goal, got a career goal to what I want towards that, and kind of work backwards from there. So I think that was the main thing that I learnt from that. Also, I read it whilst on holiday, which is very dangerous. when you're on holiday for 3.5 weeks in the sun, learning about how to optimise your time and everything like that, it's very dangerous. But you just feel like just going off and travelling the world. So yeah, that's been a book that's influenced me, especially over the last year. And then recently, this is a massive plug here, the Routledge Handbook of Strength Conditioning.
We haven't got it.
I wanted to hold it there, but it's the book. Even though I've only read like a couple of chapters of it already, I see this as a massive achievement by Anthony Turner to get the leading experts across 30 different sports to compile research. You know, we've got boxing, MMA, we've got football, ice hockey, field hockey. There hasn't been a book like that, and I can appreciate it coming from doing a lot of my research in boxing from my MSc dissertation, and just in general, there isn't that much research out there, and you've got to search like through Google Scholar, through ResearchGate and everything like that. It becomes quite a long, hard task. This book just tells you, right, if you're wanting to work specifically on a different athlete, let's say if you're freelance S&C coach working in the EIS and you get assigned a different sport, you can just go to that book and get all the information and all the research that you need. Obviously it's got all the references, you can go and find that research as well. So I think that's an excellent book, and for us to be in that for boxing, very, very proud achievement of ours. So definitely recommend it.
And you know, we can't be reading stuff all the time, and we know that, you know, what people don't often appreciate is you spend a lot of time in your car.
Yeah.
Radio's rubbish nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
So are there any podcasts or even video podcast logs, vlogs that you tend to gravitate to and press play on?
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, whilst I'm in the car, saying about 5:45 in the morning or 9 o'clock at night, don't want to listen to anything too heavy, especially in relation to strength and conditioning. I'm doing it all day, so sometimes if I'm going to listen to anything like from a development, I'll look to like kind of business podcasts. I think Gary Vee, Ordinary Experience is a fantastic source. The Tim Ferriss show as well, like learning from like really successful people in different fields. You can learn so much from that. It doesn't necessarily have to be S&C and talk about athletes all the time. You can take different experiences from different fields and apply it to yours as well. Like with Gary Vee, Boxing Science, you know, we're a group of sports scientists working in S&C, nutrition, psychology, physiology. We're not media, like kind of entrepreneurs. You know, everything that we've done, we've kind of learned and built ourselves. So like listening to that has been a massive help for us on social media. I like listening to a lot of different boxing related podcasts, so IFL TV, absolutely gold. Learning about like what's happening in boxing, and just I like immersing myself in the sport and trying to learn as much as I can, know what's going off. So when a boxer walks into the gym, they think that I'm pretty knowledgeable and know what's happening and everything like that. So just knowing what's happening in the sport. I listen to a guy on YouTube as well, Hatman Strikes Back. He's a cool dude. He says it how it is, and he's got some good opinions on boxing and covers some great topics. It's not like, I enjoy listening to different podcasts by Box Nation and Ringside and stuff like that, but they have to watch what they say. This guy just doesn't care what he says. He just says it how it is. So that's pretty good. And I listen to Fight Disciples as well. So, but if anyone's wanting anything strength and conditioning wise, a great Instagram page to follow is Strength Coach Therapy, I think it is, and he uploads some really good stuff like for movement and mobility, some really good tools, very practical. You can almost look at a video straight away and apply it in the gym. Mostly on my Instagram saved button is basically all of his videos, and he comes up with some really good stuff, especially around the shoulders and the hips. So that's why I like it for boxing.
Yeah, very good top tip there. I don't know about that. You know what I really like about Gary Vee and Tim Ferriss is that they just encourage you to just get on and do stuff. Don't think too much about it.
Yeah.
Just if you want to get something done, just go ahead and do it. And that's kind of been a consistent theme of everything that we've done. Yeah. We didn't know how to do a website. We just bought a domain name and then just did it.
How many courses do you think we could have done over this last 4 years of doing like kind of social media engagement, everything like that? I think I've been on 1 or 2, and then I've left it thinking, well, I knew all that already because you're practicing it.
Yeah.
So if anybody's watching this and thinking, right, I want to be better on Instagram or better on Facebook, just go out and just keep posting, and you just learn what posts work, what don't. No, there isn't any research to say that punches and abs are going to be the most successful post on Instagram. So what I'm saying is basically, if our most successful posts are like either a cover image or just a photo of someone punching or somebody having a really ripped physique, that's what gets the most likes and the most reach, and that's basically just from posting it, looking at the data, boom, that works. So then all our Instagrams kind of gone towards that. So
we only know that, 1, because we've done it.
Yeah.
2, we're judging that it's been successful because the others that we've done or anything else we haven't done has been not so successful, and really you could call those failures.
Yeah.
And what most people don't talk about is their failures.
Yeah.
And there's lots of them, and I'm very proud that we're not fearful of failure, and we will attack things and we will go for it. If we want to do it, we will do it. We'll put a good plan in place and we'll stick to our guns. But if we fail, we learn from it. So what have been some of the key failures that have enabled you to rise in your career and get to where you are? And is there anything that stands out to you that's been quite pivotal?
You're the Jeremy Paxman of boxing science. How you worded that question was fantastic. Failures. Well, the main standout one was like me being a strength and conditioning intern up at High Performance Hallam. A great place to kind of explore your skills as an SC coach, programming, working with different sports and different teams and everything like that. And I had the opportunity to kind of get paid and do more hours. So I was a junior intern and then a senior intern left, and then I got the chance of sharing that role with 2 other coaches, but working around about 12 hours a week in there. And like I said, I was totally totally focused on. That's running out.
And we are back
in the game.
Right.
So that was near failure.
So we're talking about failures.
Yeah, near failure of the memory card going, and then I nearly got a parking ticket. My New Year's resolution to my girlfriend was I will not get a parking ticket this year, and I got about 5 last year, and she's absolutely livid about it. So that'd have been a major failure.
So we're now 15th of March 2018, and how
I
many
will see the I will see the year through. I will see the year. None.
Yes.
0. So anyway, so I'm talking about my failures. The main one, I led up to the story of like being part of the strength and conditioning program up there, and basically it was like an interim kind of role, and they opened 2 separate positions up for a senior internship, and I don't think I was the only one thinking that I was a dead cert for that position, and I literally bottled the interview. It's like one of them moments where you want the ground to swallow you up. I choked. I think I did well. There were 2 sides of it. There was the interview side and the practical side, and the practical side I thought I did well, but I nearly didn't turn up for it because the interview went so bad, and I still thought to myself, well, I will have got it because of everything that I've done in the past, and didn't get the job, and I was absolutely gutted. I thought the world was ending. I thought that was the job for me to progress my career, and I thought, if I'm not good enough for that, am I good enough for strength conditioning? No, I did think about like whether it was worth it or not. But since then, I kind of like I was so motivated from then to kind of make my own path. I had a few different interviews after that, different football clubs, didn't get them. But from that, I just decided, right, gonna go for my own path no matter what. So a few things happened to me like that year, and like I was pretty low, but I think like from that everything's got better and better and better, and just like kind of motivated me to be positive. And if something bad happens in your life, whether it's personal or professional, in 1 month, 2 months, 2 years down the line, you're going to forget how you feel now. You just got to keep being positive towards it. A good thing about that interview, I decided there's no way that I'm going to be underprepared for an interview ever again, and because that was the worst interview ever. And even though I didn't get them jobs at different football clubs, I still feel like I did really well, and I got some really good feedback from that. I had an interview with England Golf 2014, end of 2014. Yeah, so that will have been 18 months from that interview. And Nick Ward, who I've been associated with in different roles with Sheffield Eagles, my dissertation, and obviously working with England Golf as well. So I'm doing an interview in Altis Performance Centre in America, and he, without naming me, but I knew it was me because he said somebody going in for a golf job didn't necessarily know that much about golf, but all the work that he's done in boxing with youth athletes and building a system helped him get the job, and he really gave me some high praise and said it was one of the best interviews that he's seen in the 20, I don't know whether it's 25, going up towards 30 years of working in strength and conditioning, and how many young SSC coaches has he interviewed over that time, and how he's recruited over the many roles that he's had. For him to say that, so I've gone from the worst interview ever to one of the best by somebody really high esteemed in strength and conditioning. I think like I've turned that failure into a major success, and I think that failure has kind of defined me, and different, like not getting different jobs has just motivated me even more to kind of set my own path. Another one, a little bit more practical. a lot of people like fail interviews and everything like that and can take a lot from that. But from a practical point of view, when I worked at Chesterfield Football Club, I was under 18s strength and conditioning coach, leading the programme. At Sheffield United, they had a full-time member of staff and interns underneath that. I was doing like a full-time role over part-time voluntary hours, and I found it quite tough to put the system in place what I thought was the ideal, and I tried to change too much at once, and to me I felt like I was quite limited in what I wanted to achieve there, so I felt like I failed. But the feedback that I got from the coaches and the players as well, they absolutely loved it. They thought it was great. So they've got your expectations can kind of precede what's kind of expected of you from that football club. They just expected me to do a few sessions, give them a few programmes, do some good warm-ups, and then that's it. I'm thinking, I need to do daily wellness forms and session logs and everything like that. Obviously you need all that in a professional setting if you've got full time and you've got the resources. But if you're going into doing, like I said, part-time voluntary hours, you're not going to be able to do that, and you're feeling like you're not succeeding because you've set up high expectations to yourself. So if anybody that's like going into a role where they're limited on time or resources, or even if they're just starting a job for the first time, just slowly build it up, do one thing, another, and kind of build it up from there. And I think that's helped me a lot as a coach in boxing science as well. I recognise the people that I can do more research on and give more responsibility to and build it up from there. But if I give a boxer a daily wellness form to fill in every day and they can't do that, then I'm not going to get them to keep sending me the heart rate data, keep sending me the weight every day and everything like that. Because if they can't do one thing for us, then you can't overwhelm them with 5 different tasks. So, based off that experience at Chesterfield that I thought was a failure, I know for different things, different projects, for example with England boxing, start it off small and then build it up from there. Don't try and change the world in one day.
So a lot of your failures occurred quite early. So the more influential failures
2013
occurred
the cursed year
in that time frame where you just graduated, or you were
halfway through my masters.
Through your masters, yeah. So bearing that in mind, knowing what you know now and looking back and reflecting on it, what advice would you have for a student who was perhaps in that similar position, maybe at the end of the undergraduate, starting the MSc, or halfway through the MSc, or just about finishing those level 6, level 7 students? What advice would you give to a young, aspiring, driven student now wanting to get into strength and conditioning?
There's literally so much that I can say. I think I've got a full an hour and a half presentation on it as well. But not wanting to sound too much like David Brent with different quotes. But I've got a few like different things that I see as being really important. Something that I've been saying to a work placement student today is be passionate about what you do, but don't be emotional about it, unless that emotion is going to be a positive one. You're gonna, if you're working in high performance sport or in any job, things aren't going to go your way all the time. And if you react emotionally and not logically, you can get yourself into different situations. And if I were emotional with the boxers, and if they pee me off and I talk to them in the wrong way, they might end up chinning me. Or they might not end up working with us again because they're not forced to be here. And leaving your emotions at the door is a big thing. And I think that I've maintained a lot of relationships that I've got, like long-standing relationships. I've been working with some boxers for 4-5 years, and sometimes they'll have pissed me off about different things, but I never let them know it. I'll just kind of carry on. If they have done, I won't respond straight away to them. If it's over text or anything like that, I think, right, how can I like respond logically? I'm still emotional about it. I still I have highs, I have lows, but I never let that rub off onto other boxers, the athletes that I work with, or my peers as well. So yes, definitely be passionate about what you do, but don't be too emotional. Don't be thinking if something happens bad, it's the end of the world and it affects your weekend, it affects how you treat your partner or anything like that. Kind of try and stay away from emotion as much as you can. Another thing is, all them things that I'm saying about like Chesterfield Football Club and working at Sheffield United, these have been really influential things, and they're all for free. And I think that coaches can be trapped by trying to chase the money too early, trying to go for paid opportunities or doing like kind of like paid PT roles and favouring that and kind of focus on that, like, oh, I need to earn this amount of much, because I've been, whilst working through, I've hardly earned anything, and year by year earning a little bit more, never want to take a backward step. So mature students find it harder committing to uni and everything like that, because they've come from alright paid jobs, well paid jobs, and they're back down doing it, and they've got a family to feed and bills to pay and everything like that. So once you start chasing the money, your priorities for like kind of free and voluntary experience where you can learn so much, you're not going to prioritise that. So I think not chasing the money straight away. There's a point where you need to go, right, that's it, I'm going to get paid opportunities now. But once you start chasing the money, you're not going to prioritise them fantastic opportunities, them internships. Another thing about internships as well, I think I had the perfect mix of working as an intern at Sheffield Hallam Active, and working in professional sports settings as well, because I feel like as a coach I've thrived off being able to explore my programs, my coaching style and everything like that in a university setting, but what's the real world setting look like? And that's what I found out at Chesterfield. I could do that with all my university teams and athletes up there, but what's it work like in the real world, and having them limitations in place. So making sure, like, when you get the experiences, just don't think, oh, I've done 3 years in university gym, I'll be fine to go and work with professional athletes now. You've got to kind of work and thrive in different areas and develop different skill sets as well. I think I've got loads more, but I think I'll leave it there. So the main things is be passionate but not emotional. Don't chase the money. Try and focus on building your experience through internships and having 2 different or 3 different types of opportunities. One where you're going to be really limited, and one where you're going to be able to explore as a coach. So
I think when people are watching this interview and they hear you speak about what you've done in your development, they'll get the sense that you've done a lot, and when they see what else you've done and the athletes that you work with and how we work with them at such a high level, people from the outside looking in might think, wow, what a fantastic coach with great experiences, had great opportunities. He's working with some of the best athletes in the world. What could he possibly need to work on? He's done a hell of a lot. There can't be much more he needs to work on now. We do workshops around the country, and we teach people how to train athletes. So what do you feel you need to work on or improve on as a coach?
Good one. You always need to improve as a coach. I feel like the conditioning side of it, the physiology side of it, and the detailed scientific background to what we do. It kind of comes from yourself in the conditioning. The other day I was trying to explain the muscle buffering sessions. I know what to do and how it works and how to train an athlete through it, but understanding the scientific underpinning from a physiology perspective, something that I really need to improve on. And it's like kind of what I say to a lot of people is it's knowledge versus understanding. Knowledge of how to do it, and like doing a specific exercise, but understanding why we use it, and how it actually works and everything like that. So I think like the scientific underpinning of the conditioning stuff, obviously, having you as the world class physiologist on the team, I don't really need to delve into it as much, but at the same time, I don't think I give myself enough credit, because a lot of strength and conditioning coaches don't have to put in the kind of intense conditioning drills that we do and really specific conditioning drills. Most SSC coaches do like kind of maximal aerobic speed stuff, some circuit stuff as well. The details that we do is in conditioning our athletes is like, it's absolutely world class, and that's down to you. I just need to learn the science a little bit more. Time management, I think, is a big thing as well, and just making sure that all of the boxes are ticked and being able to delegate tasks. Hopefully, when boxing science ends up becoming bigger and better, we'll be able to get more staff on board. Tommy Monday's doing a brilliant job as our intern, wanting him to start being formally part-time S&C coach for us. That's only going to develop our program even more. One thing that I did want to say on the advice to young strength and conditioning coaches is, when you're on this internship, make yourself indispensable, because I've seen it twice, and I haven't done it myself because I've kind of made my own path and everything, but to get employed and get in areas, you have to try and make your own job. Well, I've made my own job, but like Lee Rickards at Sheffield United, they weren't a job there. I was there for 3 years and they weren't a job, but Lee kind of made himself a job from there. He did so much for that team. He put his heart and soul into it. When it got to him finishing his masters, they were like, what are we going to do without Lee? And that's the same what's happening with Tommy as well. So Lee's now the lead strength and conditioning coach, nutritionist for Sheffield United. It's going to all the away games, at home and away games, doing the warm-ups and everything like that. A big role in the team, and they've been really successful of late, and he's got some great memories out of that. But he made that opportunity, and Tommy Monday's doing the same. He's been intern with us for 2 years now. He's got some paid opportunities, but then paid opportunities are going to be more regular once he graduates, because he's made himself so indispensable for us. Imagine what it's going to be like if, let's say, we take Tommy Monday out now. We're going to be struggling, aren't we?
We yeah. Well, let's not be shy about it.
Yeah.
We've got a load on.
Yeah.
We've got loads of stuff on,
Yeah.
and we could be with that. We could also be quite inwardly focused and just really look at what we do and kind of ignore everything that goes on around it. But that's not the best way to go about your business, because you don't get that insight from other areas, whether that's boxing or other sports or anything like that. So we have always got our eyes on other opportunities and other areas of work and what other people are doing, and we're looking around and we try to pick out all the best practice that we can find from anywhere. I mean, we've got things in our program that are taken from yoga, and then all the way at the other side from molecular biology. We do draw on that really broad range of influences. But when we do that and we observe what's going on, you also see some bad stuff going on.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the worst things, or some of the bad recommendations that you see in boxing in S&C?
See some very bad stuff in boxing S&C. just across like social media now, you've seen all types of different workouts. I'd say that there's only a few boxers out there that I'd recognise as doing proper strength and conditioning. Just people like doing too light stuff, not focusing on the basics, you know, like thinking that they can power up the punch by doing landmine punches and loads of punch specific stuff, doing agility ladders and everything like that. Jordan Gale has got like amazing footwork in a boxing sense. If you put him on an agility ladder, it'd look awful, absolutely awful. And a lot of other boxers on the programme got great feet, put them on an agility ladder, they're going to be awful. So I don't know how that kind of translates across. I think agility training and a lot of like kind of speed training should be there at the start, like basically when they're young and building up them fundamentals. You've only got a set amount of time to get your athlete strong, fit and faster. Focus on things that can make a big difference, not things that can just improve the footwork just a little bit. So doing stuff like that looks fancy, doing that kind of footwork and reactivity drills and everything like that, nothing's going to improve the footwork than doing the boxing itself and everything like that. There might be a lot of people that disagree with me here, but I think, right, I've only got an hour and a half, so Jim McDonald's going to come into the gym now, he's 31 years old, he's at the elite level. Am I going to improve him more as an athlete by doing agility ladders and footwork and reactivity drills, or am I going to improve him as an athlete, getting him fitter, faster and stronger, and looking at them big 10% changes? So yeah, I'd say like the bad stuff that I see is like kind of people being a little bit too speed orientated, scared to load the bar, trying to be a little bit too much boxing specific. Yeah, we still do speed work and punch specific work, but it doesn't define our program. And we also have the basics in place as well. So we have the basics foundation, then we put the little fancy things, little like kind of icing on the cake on top of it. Yeah, that's probably the worst things. Conditioning, you know, bit of guesswork on the conditioning, doing random different exercises, different
3 minutes on, 1 minute off.
Trying to be too specific towards the sport, doing 3 minutes on, 1 minute off. Not training variation, trying to stick to the same run, just get faster at the same run. You know, challenging yourself and putting yourself out of the comfort zone is a big thing as well. So yeah, that's about it. Long road runs.
Could go on, couldn't you?
Could go on, yeah. But we're not bashing boxing. These are just the bad things that we see, and that's because of the sport and the culture of the sport is just slowly changing. It's getting a lot better compared to where we were 4 years ago when we started Boxing Science. There was nothing out there, and now people are getting much better and better at it, and at least boxers are now recognising strength and conditioning. It's just making sure that you're doing it right. So with boxing as a sport, it hasn't had the systems put in place, the strength and conditioning programs, the academies and everything like that football and rugby have. That's why they've got a little bit better practice, a better approach. So, you know, it's not the boxer's fault, it's not the coach's fault, it's just things that we feel that needs improving about the sport, and that's why we put education out there. We don't bash anyone, we don't comment on anyone's purse and say this is terrible and why are you doing this and everything like that. We're just there to try and educate the coaches, educate S&C coaches, the boxers as well. And this is how we do it. These are evidence-based training methods. If you want to take it, you can take it. If not, and you want to try something else, fair play to you. But there you go.
Yeah, it's more of a cultural, historical issue that's bigger than anyone can fix really without raising standards. And you know, I hope that's what people see that we're doing, is where we're not being random in our approach. we're being very focused and specific, but we're, like you say, we're not bashing anyone. You know, we're just trying to raise the bar and set best practice.
Yeah.
And, you know, we are very focused, and you especially do a lot of work on boxing science. You know, you do really long and hard days with a lot of travel, a lot of work behind the scenes, what people don't recognise. But it does seem that you are really focused on everything. But there must be times when you lose focus and your attention just drifts. When that happens, but you know you need to get back on track, what are the things that you do to try and get back in that focused state? What's some of the questions you might ask yourself?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I'll do. I'll either do something that's productive but still enjoyable at the same time. So if I have a day where I'm just like, I'm not into this today, you know, like let's say programming or admin work or writing or something like that, do something enjoyable like doing the videos and everything. You know, I enjoy doing the videos and the end product from it, and then I get my girlfriend having a go at me, watching it over and over again, even in the Train Like a Champion tune. So yeah, so like doing something that's still productive but something that I enjoy. Not being afraid, like if I'm like doing like a mundane task like we're doing yesterday, having like not being afraid to have a break, but that being productive as well, whether it's doing a phone call to either yourself, Maya yesterday, Brendan, Ray Ginley, you know, I talked to people that I needed to talk to about different things that we're doing, but it's still like that's like a mini break to me, because, you know, I get on with them all. So and as well, if you are becoming a little bit distracted, don't be afraid to have just an optimal break. So don't be like thinking, oh, put some music on, being a bit distracted from that, because if you start to become unfocused, you might as well take yourself out of it and bring yourself back and optimise that time. So I'll just kind of chill out, watch something, go and train, go and take myself totally away from the work and come back onto it, rather, you know, having an hour really focused is better than having 2 hours unfocused. They're probably things that I do. Sometimes your motivation goes high and low. You know, when I'm working long days, working over weekends, spending 5 days away from home at a time, sometimes it ends up getting quite tough, and you question why you're doing it. But always think back to why I got into strength and conditioning in the first place. I wanted to do a job that I enjoyed. The main thing from that work placement is that I was seeing people that weren't enjoying the jobs and weren't approaching the jobs with a positive manner. I just thought, no, these are like not enjoying day by day things. I want to do it, and if I don't work hard, then I'm not going to enjoy my job. I've also been in full, like, part-time jobs. I worked at Ted Baker. It's not like I've had the hard times of working in a posh shop wearing a £300 suit and having to serve clothes to people. It's not like kind of like being in a factory or anything like that. But I know like kind of that kind of work and how that didn't really stimulate me. And if I quit doing boxing science or quit doing strength and conditioning and wanting to work 9 to 5 or set shifts and not having to think about it on weekends and stuff like that, I've got to go to a job like that where you're spending day by day. So really I just think, what else are you going to do? So a bit like the boxers when they get unmotivated, well, what else are you going to do with your life? And they're just like, well, I don't know, so best get on with boxing then. So just having that kind of mentality of like, you know, when it's going great, you know, it's really easy to be motivated. When some things don't go your way or some days are tough, it's though just got to think about the reason why you're doing it. You're doing it for them good times and everything like that. So yeah, strength and conditioning is tough sport, tough tough profession to be in. I think like some clubs take advantage of young strength and conditioning coaches going through poorly paid roles. You know, people in America earning probably 3 times the amount of what we're earning in the UK. But are we doing it for the money, or are we doing it for the enjoyment? And when things are tough and everything like that, you've got to think what you're doing every day. My hard days are when I'm working from home. My easy days are in here when I'm training champs and future champs. I cannot have a laugh when you've got the likes of McDonald twins coming in. You know, they make you laugh every session. So, you know, you're not going to get that if you're working in an office. So, yeah, that's what my thoughts and feelings are towards it. I could be doing something a lot more tedious with my time. So, you know, I'm in a fortunate position to be leading the way with boxing science. Very
good. What a fantastic way to end. So, Danny, they're your boxing science special questions, which we still haven't got a name for.
Yeah, we'll come up with a name.
But thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers.
That was a fantastic insight. You know, and even though I know you very well, I felt like I learned something from that, and I hope the people that are watching this are gonna learn from all your experiences and the advice that you've given him there. I think that was absolutely fantastic.
How long was that then? That's got to be longer than an hour.
I think
it's like a Kugan Cassius and Eddie Hearn special. But yeah, cheers Al for helping me do that. I think it's going to be great to hear the other coaches. I'm looking forward to be interviewing them, interviewing yourself as well, and finding out a lot more about like kind of their experiences and everything like that. I think it's a great addition to the Combat Conditioning Conference, which we're working very hard behind the scenes, and it's going to be a good event.
Fantastic.
Cheers.